In her book, Britney Spears publicly confronts Jamie Lynn for years of lying, her conservatorship, and her care of one other as filthy relatives. Jaimie Lynn needs to be concerned because Britney isn't holding anything back. Sir. And now, let's talk about Britney's book. The details of her life and the individuals in it are becoming increasingly clear to us. Jamie Lynn Spears, for instance, is her sister and the object of everyone's hatred. Britney acknowledges that she's trying to feel more empathy for her sister. So let's start with the positive. A rumor has it that Britney Spears is thinking back on her turbulent relationship with her sister Jamie Lynn Spears, with whom she is reportedly reconciled after years of public rivalry. Despite the fact that the two gradually drifted apart, she does mention in her memoir that she felt protective of Jamie Lynn a lot when she was younger. The fact that Jamie Lynn supported Lou Taylor Jamie and Lynn rather than fighting for Britney's freedom makes it evident why Britney feels she was harmed by Jamie Lynn's involvement in the conservatorship. Even Jamie Lynn was unable to say the words "Free Britney." However, Jamie Lynn thought that Britney was a second mother to her as she pursued a career in show business, just like her sister had. "I love her and her beautiful family, and she will always be my sister," the writer said. "Towards her and everyone I believe has harmed me. I'm trying to feel more compassion than rage. Her entire family has essentially screwed her over, so that makes it difficult." You guys may have heard the idea that Jamie Lynn was impregnated by producer Dan Schneider. I still kind of believe it, even though, sources say otherwise. It definitely appears like these two grew apart when Jamie Lynn became pregnant. Nevertheless, Brit disclosed that she learned of Jamie Lynn's pregnancy at the age of 16 through the newspapers, not from her family, instead of hearing it directly from them. Can you imagine reading about your younger sister's pregnancy in the magazines? Recall that Jamie Lynn made a significant agreement with either People or Us magazine, I believe, and Britney learned about it that way. Jamie Lynn failed to even provide her the decency of a warning. There's also the fact that after Britney was placed under conservatorship in 2008, their relationship with Jamie Lynn became increasingly tense. Britney was forced into that facility in 2018. Naturally, she texted her sister Jamie Lynn for assistance, but Jamie Lynn was of little assistance at all, suggesting that things worsened over time. "I should have found comfort in each other, but sadly that hasn't been the case," says Britney. "My sister is my sister. She was writing a book, profiting from my fight against the conservatorship and the media exposure it was garnering. She published a number of inflammatory and ridiculous things about me in a hurry." Should you guys forget, Jamie Lynn's book Things I Should Have Said was a complete bust, but it did bring in enough cash to tide her over until she appeared on Dancing with the Stars. Only because she is Britney Spears' sister does Jamie Lynn have any business being on this show, and many were offended by her presence because it seems like she is only using Britney's notoriety for her own gain. Not only did Britney take Jamie Lynn's announcement with grace, but she was also thrilled that her sister would be joining the show ahead of time. But before being eliminated from the show, Jamie Lynn had only lasted until week 2. Of all, it should come as no surprise that Britney is far too famous for Dancing with the Stars. That is like to a spectacle for me. That being said, let's go on to the more serious topic of Britney's opinion of her sister, as she refers to her as a complete B-word. Jamie Lynn was just 11 years old at the time of the story that Britney is writing about. Even though Britney was referring to her sister at the age of 11, she shockingly called Jamie Lynn a complete B-word in one of the clips. After returning home from her tour in 2002, Britney recalls being annoyed by her sister's supposedly bad behavior. The singer berated Jamie Lynn's actions at their house in the most recent excerpt from her biography, citing their mother's difficulties following their divorce as the reason for her rude attitude. Britney's mother, Lynn Spears, has clearly never been a strong woman. She has frequently given up to her father, Jamie Spears, and she acts more like a fatherly daughter toward Jamie Lynn. As Britney wrote, Jamie Lynn had taken over their house when she got home from her tour. Reportedly, she went on to say that she felt deceived by the actress's transformation while she was away from home, despite the fact that she was enrolled in Zoe 101's No Dawn program. As Britney puts it, "I'd listen to her spew these hateful words, and then I'd turn to my mother and say, 'Are you going to let this little witch talk to you like that?'" Britney was taken aback by Jamie Lynn's words to their mother. She was that horrible, really. Though I don't want to portray Jaimie Lynn as a monster. It does appear that her little period of fame, thanks to Nickelodeon, truly went to her head, and she became aggressive against everyone around her. At the age of 11, she most likely picked up this habit from her father. I believe that the reason why so many people dislike Jaimie Lynn is because, had she been a true person, she would have made sure her sister was all right. As for Britney Spears' relationship with her sister, she ought to have taken my side. By the way, I'm curious to know if the book will feature her brother Brian. As a child, however, Jaimie Lynn was the boss, according to Britney. She reminisces of receiving special treatment and milkshakes for her younger sister, who was 10 years younger than her. I felt like a ghost child, the writer said in her letter. It's still clear to me that when I entered the room, nobody was there. Jaimie Lynn's only visual source was the television. I was on a different planet from my mother, who had been my best friend at the time. Perhaps the assumption would be that Jaimie Lynn was recently removed from this family. She is a single parent, a professional woman and an independent woman. However, her presence was palpable. As Britney's family paid her a visit in the facility, she claims that after taking lithium, she turned into a completely different person. She states, "It crossed my mind that they were only visiting to finish off what they had started a few months earlier, to kill me for real." Even while Britney says she's proud of herself for being composed and playing their game, she acknowledges that it may sound paranoid given what she's gone through and how they've institutionalized and tricked her. She wrote, "It makes me want to cry how strong my little heart had to be." Perhaps in her paranoia, Britney thought these individuals were going to kill her, but in my view, they were just looking for ways to take advantage of her, as Jaimie Lynn had once suggested that they do a show together. In her autobiography, Britney revealed that shortly after her return from a mental health treatment center, her younger sibling attempted to persuade her to host a sister talk show together. Jaimie Lynn suggested something, and Britney wrote that it was practically Como's. Every time Jaimie Lynn spoke, it was a new scheme, she continued. Jaimie Lynn frequently returned from TV show meetings shouting and beaming. However, I don't think I'll ever see that. That makes me think of the song they performed together, which is awful and makes me think their concert would be a farce. I think it's called Passenger, Driver's License, or it was on Britney Jean. When it comes to their constant desire to take more and more from Britney, Jaimie Lynn and her father Jamie Spears are very similar. About the narcotics that her father started her on, Britney wrote, she writes, "If you take too much lithium, you can go mentally impaired. If you take it longer than 5 months. I felt inebriated when Jamie put me on that. Honestly, I was unable to discuss anything with my parents at all. They heard me admit my fear." Jaimie Lynn has made every effort to distance herself from Brit since the conservatorship was ended. Although asked to participate in the conservatorship, she ultimately turned down the invitation, according to her statements. In 2018, Jaimie Lynn was named a trustee of Britney's estate, according to court filings, although he never carried out his duties. Remember that there were rumors about the whereabouts of the $600 million that was moved around in 2018. I've received emails threatening to have my film that makes assumptions about the money removed, so there is still a lot of unanswered questions about it. In light of this, I believe Jaimie Lynn had a larger role than she is attempting to claim. Furthermore, Jaimie Lynn doesn't appear to have had any intention of supporting Britney. She would not be of any assistance if she failed to obtain her talk show gig. She wrote the disastrous book Things They Should Have Said, which should have been a major apology to Britney for that reason, most likely. Remember that Britney made posts on Instagram criticizing Jaimie Lynn and her plans during the time she was promoting her book. Obviously, this family is not without its moral failings. Back on Zoe 101, Jaimie Lynn was causing a lot of trouble despite being only 11 or 12 years old. I'll be your side. We know Brit's book does. In fact, mention Alexa Nicholas, a friend of the channel. It's really arrogant of you to promote a book right now and talk like a trash talker. Britney commented on Instagram, "Just like you lied about Alexa Nicholas, you're effing lying now. As there is a backstory involved, remember that." Another actress on Zoe 101, Alexa Nicholas, was allegedly harassing Jaimie Lynn. Jaimie Lynn must have persuaded Britney of this. In defense of her younger sister, Britney swore at Jaimie Lynn during a scene that she had essentially put up inside their trailer. However, Alexa never was a bully. For the entire time, Jaimie Lynn was a bully. In the book, Jamie Lynn alleged that Britney had once confronted the actress about Alexa spreading gossip about her on set, while Jamie Lynn later refuted this in her book, claiming that she doesn't recall bullying anyone. Alexa continues to claim that Jamie Lynn was a bully to her. You don't. I am positive, which is handy. Now that she has published her book, Britney is putting the past right. Jamie Lynn's co-star with whom Britney had a verbal altercation while filming her program is still fresh in her mind. Jamie Lynn was allegedly complaining about this actress, according to Britney. But since then, she has discovered that Alexa, the girl, was not guilty and has extended forgiveness to her. Moreover, bear in mind that Alexa was only 12 or 13 years old while Britney was in her 20s, so it's a very strange dynamic to have an adult yelling at a teenager. Britney describes what I must have looked like, hugely pregnant, yelling at a teenage, and what I would later learn an innocent girl asking her, "Are you spreading rumors about my sister?" She writes, "I'm sorry," to that budding actress. And after stating, "My sister was literally like my daughter growing up," Britney has addressed this subject a few times. "I'm sorry for my ignorance, Alexa, as I was obviously unaware of the whole situation when I yelled at you. Your speech was inspirational and gave me courage. I apologize if I have offended you in the past, which is why I'm writing this note today." Nickelodeon needs to give you a kiss on the ass. It's crucial, in my opinion, that Britney accept responsibility for this. You'll see, she calls out people in her book, but she also points out her own shortcomings. She felt that taking responsibility was crucial, so she wanted to include this particular instance. Jamie Lynn printed a lie, which is why a lot of material was covered by the media when her book first came out. Yet now that Britney is speaking the truth, this story is receiving more attention, and Alexa is naturally overjoyed Britney is recognizing her.